All right, cool. All right, so welcome back to the Burning It Down podcast. My name is V, and today I'm going to be interviewing my beautiful wife. And, well, let's just jump in with the first question. What is your name?
My name is Nancy Escobar.
Awesome.
Formerly Nancy Gardia.
Very
in a past life.
Well, I mean, alrighty. And if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I am 29, I think.
29 years young.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So it's the last year of your 20s.
Yeah,
You're
that's a big one.
That big hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
The big 3-0. Alrighty. And at this point in time, how many children do you have?
Just one. Just the little William Escobar.
Very nice. Very nice.
Who just gave me a terrible time putting him to bed.
Oh, okay.
The worst.
Yeah, unfortunately, in order for us to do these types of things, we do need to, put him aside every now and again. But it's okay. It's all working out. Alrighty. So I'm going to ask you a few other questions. Some of these I think you asked me, but
okay.
We'll mix it up a little bit. There are a few questions here that, I just wanted to kind of like hear your side of things.
Sounds good.
So to kind of repeat a little bit of what you were asking, so who are your friends?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the list is short.
Oh.
I would say mostly my sisters. I consider them, like, honestly, my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
We have our little group chat where, like, everything goes in there. Like, I can completely be myself with them. And I think that's, like, the gist of it. That is the most. But, I mean, I do include people like Isela, who is your cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Her and I have a good relationship, and we always just kind of, like, we can be each other, or we can be each other's, person to talk to when stuff goes down, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have that kind of person in your life every now and then. And then, aside from you, because I'm like with you 24/7 now. That's pretty much it. I mean, I keep my circle small.
Oh, okay. Well, I do apologize. I don't think I mentioned you as my friend. But you're definitely my best friend. And I do apologize.
I was waiting for that one. In yours,
yeah.
I was like, okay, and then me? No. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that one. But yes, you're one of my best friends. If I ever go to Vegas, I hit you up first. Yeah. Alrighty. And what do you do for a living?
The age-old question.
Mm-hmm.
I am a teacher. I teach first grade. And
where do you work?
Currently, I work in the garage.
Okay.
I sometimes work at a school called Jack Northrop Elementary. Okay. But right now, everything's kind of messed up with the pandemic, and I am working from home. So that's just my life right now.
All right, great. This one's a little bit different.
Okay.
Do you like what you do, or have you ever thought that maybe you made the wrong career choice?
No, not at all. I love what I do. I am obsessed with my job. The only thing that, like, is messing me up right, like, at this current time is the whole pandemic. I cannot stand online teaching.
So what about it? So what about online teaching do you hate the most?
Definitely the internet connection issues. It's really hard to explain to a 5-6-year-old child that their internet connections are what's causing the problem, or how to troubleshoot something. No, you have to click on the button to your left. I don't know which one's my left. I don't know what the letter N is. So it's really hard. It's very.
I mean, they're first graders. They're learning their letters.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see where it says, I don't know, play or whatever? And they're like, I don't know what that means.
The one saving grace is, like, there's a lot of colors online. So it's like, okay, you see the blue button. And then, of course, there's, like, 3 shades of blue on the page. And they're like clicking everything but the one you want them to click. So
like, no, that's blue, but like the other blue.
Yeah, that's the worst. But other than that, I love my job. I absolutely, like, I love being in the classroom. I love being that, like, person that everyone looks to. And just, I don't know, it's just a fun thing. I feel like I'm a different person in the classroom than I am in real life.
Yeah,
we're not like real life.
Do you think it has anything to do with like the fact that you can't get like, I don't know, like you can't physically touch them or get like personal with them?
Yeah, definitely. That has a lot to do with it. I don't even know, that does play a role, but it's just the fact that like I'm no longer in control of the environment. You know, there are plenty of other things that they are distracted by. There are things that they just take away the attention, and usually I'm the center of the attention in the classroom. And it's not like a selfish, like, look at me thing. But you know, it's more of I can't control the things that happen at home.
Do you feel like the fact that there's a screen between you and the other person make it difficult for you to connect with them, or?
It was at first. I'm not gonna lie, that was the hardest part of everything, but I think we've gotten over that at this point. So we're in December already. Well, January now.
January now, yeah.
Wow. New Year came fast, but it was very hard in August and September. It was just like, hi, I'm your teacher. What's up? And now I feel like they kind of gotten to know me over a couple of couple of the months that we've been working together, and I think that they get me now. They get my personality. They understand me a little bit more.
All right. One question that I was a little bit curious about: have you ever had a moment where you felt like you made a difference in one of your students' lives?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I feel like this instance, I know now that I made a difference, but for a long time I questioned it. So I had a student who, he would come to class and he would, just be like not very well kept.
Well, I think he wants to go inside. Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. Sorry, Bruce. What's up, Bruce?
So yeah, he was a kid who was not very well kept, came in all messy looking, disheveled, and very skinny little boy, just very antisocial sometimes, kind of just like off by himself. And when one day he came in and his head was slumped over on the desk, and he told me, or after I asked him what was wrong, he told me that he hadn't eaten breakfast, and that he didn't even eat dinner the night before. And I was like, oh wow, that one, I was just like, okay, sometimes for me as a teacher, I kind of have to take things that kids say with a little, grain of salt, because sometimes maybe the wording isn't correct, or maybe I might be misinterpreting it. So I wanted to like dig a little further. And the day before was a holiday. So, if he wasn't getting food from school, he might not have been getting food from home. So that was kind of like a worry in my, in my situation there. And yeah, so, I ended up talking with the mom a little bit, and she wasn't giving too much information, but I am having a really hard time finishing my story.
What's wrong?
No. I'm just like, my brain is not letting me finish.
How do you feel you changed that child's life?
So it's kind of complicated. So I didn't end up really like saying any more to the mom about it. But I did just file a report for CPS. And, I always wondered in the back of my head, was that the right call to make? Was that the right move? And they are the worst right now. Bruce, Zoe, shh. So anyways, in the back of my mind, I always wondered if that was a good choice to make, whether to call or whether to even put that, out there. But yeah, a couple years later, his sister went to another teacher's class in my grade level, and that mom ended up having a conversation with that teacher, and then who passed the information along to me, that basically she was saying that was, you know, a wake-up call for her to, like, you know, for how to be a mom once she got that, like, call from CPS, you know, or like that visit, that, you know, she was just kind of like, it opened my eyes to so many things that, you know, I wasn't aware of, and I learned how to be a better parent because they came and they stepped in. And she's like, I don't think, you know, that had she not have called, or whoever it was that called had done that, then I wouldn't have known those things. I wouldn't have been able to, you know.
Sorry, just ignore the dogs a little bit. No, but that's good. So you were able to kind of like step in, and, you know, had you not done so, maybe that kid's life would have continued in the same trajectory.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it just kind of made my heart a little bit, you know, felt a little bit better. I think honestly I was relieved at that point to see that, you know, hey, this kid, you know, maybe his mom wasn't the greatest parent, and you know, I don't blame people for not having parenting skills, but, you know, it was just, that was his circumstance, and I think after that things changed, and hopefully for the better.
That's good. That's good. No, well, congratulations. Good job. All right. So we did talk a little bit about how it's been pretty difficult transitioning, you know, into an online learning environment. Yeah. What's one thing that's helped you get through this year?
This year? Coffee. For sure, coffee. What has helped me get through this year? Interesting. Crying. Also, I mean, it's been hard. I mean, I've had to just like learn how to solve my own problems, and that is like, it's very challenging because you're like stepping into things that you know nothing about, facing new challenges almost every week, it seems. And it was hard for me to catch my breath, even, you know, after like 6 weeks or so. And I was just drowning in work at that point. And I mean, aside from that, it's just coming home, you know, being home, I think, has helped too. Yeah. So being home, and having that like away time from work gives me like the recharge that I need to go back in and do it, you know, all again the next day. So, and plus I have a better schedule, I would say, because I used to have to leave super early and then get home maybe past 5 sometimes. But I feel like since I'm at home, I am, you know, I can walk to the garage in like 5 minutes. So I have more time in the mornings. I definitely have more time in the afternoon. So it's just finding that little balance, and it's been nice.
So you feel like working from home a little bit has helped?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is also nice because in between those little breaks that you've had where you're either taking a break from the class or there's a little gap between the 2 periods, it's nice to kind of like fill you in, you know, like I'll be taking care of Willie and something will happen. And then in that in-between time, you're still kind of part of the circle. So then Willie doesn't, like, he still misses you, but it's not like you've been gone all day and he's like, where's mom? You know, it's like he knows mom's working. Oh, I don't go in there. And then, you know, the minute you come out, it's like you never left. So it's like, hey, mom, this is what's going on, you know? So that's kind of nice, too. And I do appreciate that.
I was going to say another thing that I think motivates me, too, is just, like, seeing the growth in the kids. Like, I was so bummed with everything that was going on. And then at the time that I did my, like, middle of the year testing and I saw how much growth they had, I was just like, okay, I can breathe now. I can relax a little bit because I know that some of the things that I'm doing, you know, is helping, you know, and at least I'm, you know, helping them grow in some way. And so that was a big relief.
Okay, that's good. So it still felt like, you know, you might have been doubting yourself, but now, like, you can see that you actually were doing your job.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I still feel for the ones that, like, I can't reach, but, you know, that's... you can only do what you can do.
No, absolutely, you know? Yeah. Alrighty, let's see. So what would you say is the status of your mental health?
I think, you know, we talked about with your, you know, whole situation. Like, I feel like you were able to accept the whole coronavirus, like, it's a pandemic thing. Like, you just accepted it, you moved on, you were ready to go. And I needed that time to process. I definitely, I had to, like, wow, like, this is my life now. This has changed about this. You know, this is going to be completely different now. And I had to work through every little thing like that. So not only in my personal life, things with William, like, I had to work through those things, but then also in regards to teaching, you know, like, I had to let go of some of the things that I was, you know, and so that was really hard for me. It's hard to even look at my classroom without, you know, feeling upset or angry or, you know, in denial about the whole situation. It's just, it's hard to put those emotions back for me. So I think I'm hanging in there. Yeah. I've got little threads. But please do not come rocking my boat. I do not need anything else this year. And then, I don't know, everything with my mom. My mom's been in and out of the hospital. So I think cut out. Hold on. That's not good. Oh, no, that's good. Tell me this thing is recording. It's not. You never pushed the button.
I did push the button.
No, you didn't.
Alright, well, either way.
Anyways.
Maybe you could talk after like 15
minutes? Okay.
It's all good. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll get a better camera. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, so yeah, that had me shaken for a little bit. Just seeing her not doing so well with health. Yeah. So it was this past year was a big roller coaster and just had a lot of emotions. So I think I was a little more snappy in those early phases of when I was still processing, but after that time, I think I was able to handle things a little bit better and just kind of get a hold of myself.
I think, like, at least from my point of view, a lot of the, I guess, new experience has always been like, if something was ever wrong, you and I were always like the first one there trying to like fix it and you know, see what's going on. But then now with this whole coronavirus thing, you know, if someone's sick or if like something's going on, it's like I can't even go see you.
Yeah, I have to take that step back.
Exactly. You're like disconnected, but it's kind of like it's for their own good, but it doesn't always feel that way. Like, for instance, your mom, you know, she was sick. She needed someone to be there, but like you had a potential exposure. So it's kind of like, I'm sorry, Mom. Like I
can't be there for you, even though I really want to.
Yeah. I think even like with your sister, she got sick and then, you know, no one, and then out of the 3 sisters, only the one that lived hours away might be able to stop by and check in on you. And I know that's pretty tough, especially like when you're the one that usually like you carry that weight. Like, oh, hey, you know what? I'll be the one. But you know.
Yeah, or we share the weight. You know, like it'll be evenly distributed. It'll be like one
maybe
time.
That's what it
you
was.
know,
Maybe
it was a shared, like a even distribution, and then all of a sudden, you know, people move away, or you know, something's going on, and they can't, and then it just kind of gets piled. So I think that's tough, but you know, we've made do, and I'm just glad that we even have that system of support in the first place.
Okay. What keeps you up at night?
Ooh. What keeps me up at night?
Other than the kids.
My child, for sure. Interesting. I think just fears, honestly. I sleep pretty good at night, you know? I'm not going to lie. We have a really comfy bed.
Yeah, like anyone who I got revenge on deserved it. So, like, I sleep super well.
I sleep so good. My karma is
right
chef's kisses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, nothing much. Yeah. I don't feel like I have any like life regrets or things that haunt me, or, you know, like I'm a nice person. I treat people well, and even, you know, people who don't do well to me. Yeah. And so, you know, I feel like I am proud of my actions or inactions in certain cases, and it has proven me well. So I get a good night's sleep usually, you know, unless, you know, my child is bugging.
No, well, the reason why I wanted to tie this to the whole mental health thing is I think like nowadays, like everyone's so anxious, you know, we have a ticking time clock above our heads, you know, and then, you can subscribe to it. A lot of people don't. They just, live their life and they're like, whatever, whatever's clever, I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I feel like, at least from my point of view, like everything's a ticking time clock. Yeah, you have the immediate coronavirus.
Yeah.
You have all the political stuff going on, and then you have like global warming, and you have just scarcities and famines. And then I even think about like, I'm Salvadorian, so like I think about my people, like how are they doing? Are they struggling? We have a good president right now, but how long is that going to last?
Yeah.
So like a lot of those things like are always like dancing around in my mind, But I don't know. I just don't know how to let go of those things. That's why, it's like what keeps you up at night, because I know I'm kept up all the time.
Nope, I sleep good.
Alrighty. All right, what are some of your goals for this new 2021 year?
Woo woo. Let's see. Goals. I want to meet my kids at least once. That's like a goal. I don't know if I'm allowed to make that goal.
I'm assuming students, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
How many kids you got?
No, I don't know. I would hope that that's a goal that I could set for myself. Even like I've even thought about it already. Like, what if I just told the parents like, hey, I'm going to be at such and such park at such and such time, not a part of school hours. If you just casually want to be there and wear a mask, that's cool with me. I mean, it's not everybody's like,
I want to be reading at this park,
Yeah.
Not
just casual.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, nope. Yeah. So that's probably one of my goals. And then I think of like personal goals. I want to get a little healthier. I'm not going to lie. I think that's been a goal for a really long time.
Get rid of that Corona 15.
But, but then you happen every time.
Now I'm gonna call it that 2020. Let's just be real.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to speak too much of my goals into existence. You know what I mean? Like, I'm scared.
No, that's good. Well, because you said you wanted to kind of do this every year, I wanted to see, like, if you said what your goals were, and then if we revisited these questions next year, you know, kind of like see where you're at. Did you accomplish any of them or things of that nature?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, kind of going back to, goals and mental health. On the last little podcast we had, we talked about how, at the very least for me, I like taking these little trips to like mentally recharge.
That's another goal. Yeah. Man, let's take a trip somewhere, please.
Well, that's the next question. Is there a trip you're looking forward to going this year?
I mean, nothing that we've planned yet, but I would love to. I'm so sad that we didn't get to go on our trip to Peru.
Yeah.
That was right there at the end of March.
We had everything planned, so we had a place. We had...
Everything had to be canceled.
Yeah.
Good thing we got our money back, though.
Yeah, I know. I heard a lot of people didn't, so... we swooped in right on time before we ran out of money. I think like a lot of them were trying to like file for bankruptcy or whatever.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah, it worked out.
So that would be something to look forward to if we could, somehow figure that out. And
it probably won't be this year.
Well, you never know. Right. That's how the other one happened. I had the little flight tracker alert on Google Flights, and it would just email me. It would just email me. No, like every other week it'd be like, oh, the price is this much. Oh, the price is this much. And then when it dropped super low, it was like, buy now. Buy now.
Yeah. Lowest it's been.
Yeah, take my money.
No, that's good. Yeah, I know that, like, at the very least, I do want to take, like earlier we were talking about going on a little trip. I'd like to get a little cabin somewhere, maybe up like on a hill somewhere.
We say that now because it's snowy, but like wait till the summer hits and be like, just get away from me.
No, well, I mean, I do like going up north a little bit. Maybe closer to like, like the Redwood Forest or something of that nature. I do want to go to Tahoe. We haven't
I want to go to Utah.
I heard Utah's nice. That's where they have that Zion National Park.
Maybe that's a goal for us this year.
Hey, it's in the U.S., so like we won't get like quarantined in another country. So, and yeah,
we got to stick local.
Well, Izzy has friends out there, so we could always like try to, corroborate or something. Collaborate, I guess is the right word.
Corroborate is when you're
I know.
planning a crime.
I need some witnesses to corroborate. Yeah. Alrighty, let's see here. Okay. Alright, we're gonna take a little bit of a left.
No.
And these are just questions that I always wanted to ask, and like I kind of have an idea of what like your responses are. However, like I've never explicitly like asked them. I never like won like a direct answer.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, do you consider yourself an atheist, or do you believe in a higher power?
Ooh, that's a good question. I am somewhere in the middle, but I would not like. I'm. Let me gather my thoughts.
Curveball.
I don't think I am an atheist. I think I'm gonna like lean further the other way. So I think of myself on this like spectrum, I guess. And so atheism being, maybe like far left, and then what was your terminology? Higher power to the right, and we'll think of in the middle. I'm a little more, to this edge.
So what is your higher power? Is it like a god, or is it more of a like overarching?
So it has. I think thinking about that question, you have to look at my background and my past. And so growing up, we were Jehovah's Witnesses, and I feel like that had a lot to do. It had a lot to influence, or a lot of influence in my life. And so I feel like that is mainly the focus, I guess. But I do feel like as I've grown, I've expanded my horizons a little bit. So I almost want to like think of it as like a mixture of like Jehovah's Witness like ideology, but also like Christianity. So like I think it's like a blend at this point. I don't know. I guess I'm still figuring it out, because I also haven't taken the time to like read through the Bible like you have, you know? Like I think those kinds of things like weigh on me, that it's just like I'm still not well versed, or I'm not, like this like I don't know. This person who does all those things. So I don't know. I think I constantly find myself just trying to be a good person. I think that's my overall goal for that,
So is there something like in your life do you feel that's had like the biggest impact in shaping like your belief? Whether it's like one or the other, or like where you're at right now, kind of in the middle. Like, is there anything that you can say like, this is the reason why I believe what I believe? Or is it more like your parents were kind of into it and you just adopted it?
I think just like traveling, honestly, like getting out of my own hometown and seeing the world, seeing, everything, the way the world works. And I don't know, just like, honestly, I think I posted it once, but like being in an airplane, looking down, like, how do you think that was an accident, or like that was just, that alone is mind-blowing to me. Like, so even like something like the Grand Canyon, we went and visited that, and that to me is like mind blown.
Like, I mean, I don't like imagine some like tall white guy with a long beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Is out here with a shovel digging out these canyons, but I feel like there's like some sort of like beauty in like the geometry that's like, I mean, fine, call it what it is. Some people say, oh, it's just like it's entropy. That's just how things kind of like fell into place. But like, I don't know, like there's some sort of like awe that can be like gleamed from that I feel like my what I would call my spirit wants to give credit for it.
And so I think too, also like in terms of my beliefs or whatever, I think a lot of it has to do with like just my education in like simple stuff like science, like like, so I think I take both things into consideration. So like that's what kind of pulls me away sometimes, where it almost feels like certain Christians can be very what's the word,
polarizing,
I guess, but like it almost feels like phantasmic, like it's just like this power, this, and I don't feel that. I can't be that person.
I don't know. I'm weird because like I always see that as like it's some sort of like emotional like mass hysteria hallucination. Like everyone's kind of like convincing themselves that, you know, I felt and like I've been in the middle. I've cried. I've been in like
exactly.
the altar.
Yes.
Like you kind of get like you fall in. You know, you start. I don't know how to even describe it, but like everyone else is like crying and weeping and like worshiping, and in the moment, like you do feel like you're being swept up into it. And like I felt that, and that felt great. But then like after, I don't know if it's like that was the spirit, but a lot of times, you know, I'm too logical and I'm very cynical, so I'm very like, oh, was that just me?
Yeah. Once you take a step back from the emotional moment, you're kind of like, okay, well, how does the logic or the science explain? You know, and if it doesn't like mix, then for me it's like a discord, and that's like I said, that's what like pulls me further to the left on that spectrum versus you know like.
And I mean, like I'm willing to give space for like, okay, maybe like, fine, it's not the science. You know, maybe science has a certain portion of it. Maybe there is something to like the spirit and the soul, and like I'm willing to give to that. You know. But like I said, like a lot of times, like I get trapped in the whole like, oh, you know, God told me this, or like I heard the spirit was leading me, and I was like, I'm waiting, dude. Like I've been here,
right? And you're not like closing yourself off to it. You're just leaving that like opportunity open, and like you're like, I haven't felt it. Please give me.
It's probably a bad like analogy, but it's kind of like I'm leaving the window open. I'm like, come on, burglar, come on in if you're really out there, you know, like. You know,
no, but you know what though? Like I was just thinking about that today because I saw a TikTok video. Shamefully, I'm like TikTok. But I saw a video that was, you know, basically some lady, you know, kind of like making her like little testimony, you know, and it was just like, you know, what was that like point that like you realized that God exists, you know? And the lady was saying that that she was in dire need of food, and like her husband just wasn't a supportive person, and that she needed bread. That was mainly what she was looking for. And so she decided to go to church, and on her way into church, some lady pulled by, just random lady, and she was like, hey, you know, like I'm giving away all this free bread because my husband works at the bread factory, and you know she walked home, or not walked home, I don't know what it was, whatever the ending of the story was, but she came home with loaves of bread, and she just was like, that spoke volumes to me. So like I've heard a lot of those, and those to me just get me. It's just like how like there is no other explanation, there is no other like
see, but that's why like I believe that there's like something going on. Like it's hard for me to be like, you know, that extreme of cynicism where it's just like no. Like, you know, we're just rocks that just somehow figured out how to become smart rocks.
Exactly.
You know, like because I have like a similar story of that, like, and I told it before where. When I was living in New York, I was super poor. I was broke. It was the most like broke I've ever been in my life. And there was one time where I knew all I had was like $1.50, and I go to Burger King, and they had these little $1 breakfast, you know, sandwiches, and I was on my way to work, so I was like, oh, I have enough for one, you know, let me just grab that, and that'll get me through. And as I'm sitting there in the drive-thru, I just felt like, man, like, I think I should order two. And like, this is small. I'm not, you know, we're not moving mountains here. I'm just saying, like, I was hungry, and I was like, man, I should just get two, you know, like. And I ordered it. I pulled to the window. I was like, let me get two of them. And the lady's like, all right, pull to the next window to pay. And it just hit me like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. And then I was already like embarrassed, and I was like, God, man, I'm gonna have to sit here and like, you know, humble myself and be like, oh, hey, you know what, I just don't got it. You know, I got enough for one. You know, sorry, I don't know what came over me. And as I'm pulling up to the window, like I had a little speech prepared, like, oh yeah, I don't know, you know. And who so happens to be at the window is this guy that looked familiar. And I didn't know at the time, but apparently I worked at a bank and he banked with us. And he's like, oh, hey, you work at so-and-so like bank. And I said, oh, yeah, you know, I'm a teller there. And he goes like, oh, yeah, you know, you look familiar. And he goes like, hey, you know what, it's on me today. And I was like, what? And he goes like, yeah, just, you know, go ahead. He hands me my 2 sandwiches and I drive off. And I was like, holy crap. Like this is real. You know, like. But you know, that's like my one example. I've had like, you know, I've almost crashed and I didn't. But then that, like, I'm like,
You logic it down, right?
yeah, I have really good reflexes, like it just, I lucked out. But that one is always one that will always like sit in my head, like, like what was that, like, I don't know, like, because of who I am, logically, I would never allow myself to like, buy more than like I can afford. So that was like one moment that just kind of like messed with me. But like I didn't hear a voice. It wasn't like
it was just
the
it was just like an impulse.
A little dove flies out and Jesus' long flowing hair is like, hey, check it. Order 2 of those bad boys. Like it's just not how it happens. Alrighty, let's see. Okay. All right. Have you ever been presented with a situation or experience that has forced you to question your beliefs?
I think as I've gotten older, I'm okay, and it's very, it's a little morbid, but again with the whole situation with my mom, like, part of me is like, why her? Like that, like eternal question that I'm sure everybody goes through at some point in their life, where like someone that they love is hurt, or someone that they love is just not in a good place, and that that's the only recourse of thinking, that's the only way that how to rationalize, like, why, and that's just the question. I think that has challenged a lot for me this year, but I don't think I've ever really had anything else other than the natural, like, why them situations. What about you?
I think for me, I had it really early on. So my little brother Henry, he passed away. He was 9. He died. Well, he had leukemia, but the reason why he died was, I guess they gave him the wrong medicine, and then he got blood poisoning and died. And I remember around that time in my life is like when my mom and my dad were really into church, and like it was almost like a cult. Like they put in hours, like, oh, I'm going to spend 6 hours at church on Saturday. I'm going to do an all-nighter later on. Spend like, all day on Sunday. And then throughout the week, I'm going to like, they were just putting up like hours, like they were going to get like a bigger crown when they got to heaven or something. And, but in that, you had all these people that really like believed, or at the very least, like it seemed like, like, they believe so hard that how can I doubt? Like, look at them. They believe it. They've seen something. So then, my little brother was in the hospital. He only lasted like a month once he got interned. People all the time. People were showing up, praying and like, no, you just gotta have faith. You just gotta have faith, and God wouldn't do this to a child. You know, and I believed it. I was like, So I almost ended up like in a place of comfort where like, God's gonna like see us through this. Like it's no big deal, Like I even remember like playing video games with him when we were there. They had like little N64s, and then I remember like he got worse, and like first, he went blind from like the blood poisoning, and I don't know what it was, but they just never caught it. And then he stopped like recognizing people. He was accusing nurses of not being his nurse, my mom of not being his mom, and then he went deaf. Nice. And he went deaf and blind, and it was all from the blood poisoning somehow. And I remember him like screaming and just like freaking out, and they had to actually restrain him, and they had to tie him to this bed. So here's this kid who can't see, can't hear, and he's basically trapped in his own body and just like freaking out. I remember peeking through a window and just seeing him like thrash, and my mom and dad cry, and then he just died. And then I remember like that the whole drive home, because I remember like I went to the hospital and they just told me like, he's gone. I even asked them like, well, what if, if there was anything that, but then one of the nurses was at the very least like nice enough to be blunt and said, hey, like, even if by some miracle we brought him back, he's brain dead. He's, the brother that you knew is gone. He'd be like a vegetable, or, even in best case scenario, he wouldn't even know who you are. And I appreciate that, because in my mind that kind of gave me closure. Like he's gone, And then they pulled the plug, and then on the drive home I was even saying like, take me, like I was 13, so like what grave sins could I have committed? But I was like, I know I've done worse than him. Like I've been disrespectful or whatever. Like he doesn't deserve this. Take me. And then I remember after he died, Like I think that's when I questioned everything. I was 13 and like just nothing made sense to me. So for a long time, I had that like, I don't know, that almost like an itch or maybe even like a chip on my shoulder, like like I know better because when I needed him, where was God? Type of stuff. So I think that's like
it puts that like doubt or that fear in your mind that like this isn't everything that people are making it out to be.
Yeah, so that was like my moment, and then it took a long time and years, and I mean even until like my late teens, early 20s when I started like actually like reading and maybe going to like a different church and. That I kind of like started regaining a portion of that faith, but it's never been the same. Like I think that blind like belief, like those rose-colored glasses are just gone.
They fell.
Yeah.
Yikes! Sad to say.
Are you happy with how much religion or faith you practice in your daily life, or do you ever wish you could dedicate like more time to it?
No, I do wish I could dedicate more time. I find myself thinking about that a lot. Especially with William now. Like I think for me at the end of the day it's all about setting a good example for him, and we've had this conversation before, but it's kind of like I referred back to the like good person thing, I think I learned a lot of good values going to church. I learned a lot of good like manners even, so I think for me that's if there's anything that I want for my son is to have those kinds of values and manners and just appreciation for life even. I think that kind of mentality of, like be grateful for everything or every day or, so I think that is definitely what I want. But I do wish I was a little more active.
It was more present, involved. Yeah. No, I get it. Do you have a plan about how we introduce religion to our children? Or are there any aspects that you're worried about having to explain?
Wait, say the question again. What?
Like, do you have any plan about how we introduce religion to like William?
So, no, I don't think I've ever come up with a plan, but I think for me it's just about winging it, and when it's developmentally appropriate. Like I'm not gonna make him sit with me as I read passages from the Bible right now. I don't think that's developmentally appropriate. Okay. So like, I told you about his little incident the other day where he saw a picture on my little Facebook feed of some little boy praying by the bed with his dog. And he was like, "What? Look at the dog." And he was like, "What is he doing?" And I was like, "He's praying." And that was a little, mini conversation in itself. And so I feel like that kind of stuff is developmentally appropriate and, just like an introduction even. Yeah. And I think I even went a little further, like he's praying to God, and so that he was like, God? And so I was like, well, let's not open that can of worms right now before bedtime. But, I do plan on, talking to him about things and just kind of getting those things out there for him.
Yeah, because for me, like...
to make or break his decisions.
Like, he's 3 right now, and he's at the point now where you can, like, talk to him, and if you explain something to him, at least if you use, like, words that he kind of understands, he can understand, like, a concept, or, so I think, like, right now is a good time for us to, like, start, like, teaching certain things, because what I don't like is, like, I have family members who have children, and they've been raised in the church, and that's fine. But, like, there's, like, a blind, like, oh, I just do it because mom and dad told me to do it. And I kind of like that my kid kind of questions everything, Like, I don't want him to just be, like, led astray. Like, oh, well, they told me this was what you do, so I'm just going to do it. So I kind of like getting it to a point where you can, describe or explain why. And then kind of, like, seeing if he
agrees with it, or...
Versus, like I said, just like, oh, this is just what we do. You know? Like, okay, I'm praying, but, like, am I really praying? Like, am I asking for stuff? Is God like Santa Claus? Am I just asking for gifts?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's going on, really,
Yeah, so. and that's another thing, like making, like that kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier about, like, the whole, like, just having that appreciation, that, like, life in itself is a gift that, not everything needs to be about the next thing that you can get. So I think that's a really important thing to learn.
Because I remember what tripped me up growing up. Like I said, my mom was, like, super into, like, her form of Christianity. And it was almost like a death cult. Like, nothing in life mattered. So from like 5, they're telling you like, oh, you think this is good? Wait till you die. Like Kevin's gonna be so much better than this. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm at right now. You're already telling me there's like another level to this, and like, and if I'm bad, I can't even go there. I'm gonna go to hell. And it's like, I think for a 5, 6-year-old. Like, it's too much.
No, yeah,
like,
it's definitely not developmentally appropriate. Yeah. That's for sure.
Like, let him have a childhood.
Yeah.
Like, not the devil can't be in his closet waiting to snatch him up.
And see, that's one of those things that like detracted me away from my early experiences with religion. Yeah. That it was very much like, you can't celebrate birthdays, you can't celebrate Halloween, you can't. And it was all the fun things about being a kid that you had to watch everybody else. And as a kid, you don't understand why that's taking place. At least I didn't. Yeah. But you don't really, you're told why, but still it doesn't make sense to you. It's just
it feels
kind
unfair.
of it does.
Why can't I get gifts? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. So, and I remember I had experiences where I had friends who would bring me gifts to school, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like,
yeah, and then you don't even know why. It's just like, my mom told me.
My mom told me I can't. Yeah. If I come home with this, she will whoop me.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was my experience with that.
All right, so switch gears a little bit. Are you happy that I asked you to marry me?
Hell yeah! I am very happy. I think. Well, first of all, I married a whole ass chef. Oh my god, that I have to put that in there. Put my little plug in first. But aside from that, you're like the smartest guy I know. Genius. And you are very take charge, which is very nice for a person like myself who is kind of like, I don't know, should I? Will I? Do I? So since I can doubt myself a lot, it's nice to have that like counterpart that is very like, all right, we're gonna do it, and I'm like, what? Oh yeah, oh okay. Because like even with your first podcast, I felt like that was a reflection in itself, because I feel like I would have filmed that, I would have sat on it for weeks, debated on putting it up, debated on posting it, debated on the caption, debated on every little thing, until at the end I would, as I'm about to hit that post button, I just click cancel, and then I'm just like, no, it's okay, it's fine, don't worry about it.
Let it just sit there.
Just let it sit there a little bit longer. And so you were very like, we filmed it, we recorded everything, you put it together, boom, that instant it was already up on YouTube, and I was like, what? So for just in contrast, that would have been my approach. So then your approach was very different.
I guess for me, like, I tried having like a diary, growing up, and it just never. I was dyslexic, so like, I could barely even read the damn things. I gotta write it, and I'm not even being graded. Like, it just didn't work out. So this was a Christmas gift. You're like, oh hey, I got you some mics. Let's do like a little podcast type of stuff. And in my mind, I was like, hey, my dad died when I was 1, and I never got to like hear him or like talk to him. And I always like wondered like what he was. I mean, you hear stories like, oh, your dad was this, your dad was. Oh, he was nice.
Yeah.
He was kind. And it's like that only goes so far.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so he never robbed a bank and murdered 10 people. Okay, that's awesome. But like I thought to myself like, man, it'd be nice to like, even if nothing comes of this, like just to have a little like a log of just random
memories.
Little tidbits. Yeah, even if it's rambling stuff, I just want my son to know who his dad was. And even like, I plan to be there forever. Shit, my biggest fear is death, so it's gonna sound bad, but like I want to outlive everybody. Like, right? I don't want to die. But like, yeah, like if something were to happen, maybe there wasn't a lesson that I could teach him, later in life, but maybe like he stumbles upon this
and he can like, hear it. Yeah.
Cool. Like maybe my dad didn't have everything figured out, or maybe like, maybe he did have a different view of whatever, like, and I won't know, but like, it's just nice to know that, it might help him one day.
Yeah.
It's just, like I heard someone say like, be the man you wish your dad was, And that can mean a lot for different
Yeah.
people, you know. Like my dad died, but other people had it worse. Or, you know, parents left, or or you know, people cheat or whatever. But yeah, be the man that you wish you had, you know, growing
Yeah,
up.
very true.
So, all right.
Was that the same question? That was the, were you, was I happy?
Well, I mean, it sounds like. I mean, I don't want to like you know, lead the witness, you know. So like,
No,
yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm very happy that you asked me to marry you, and yeah.
All right. Well,
love
the
you.
next one's on a slightly similar like topic, but looking back at our marriage, has there ever been a time where you questioned if we were gonna last?
I think very early on I questioned things.
Yeah.
But I've told you this before, that for a while there, I had to really like take a step back.
We'll fix it in post. It's okay.
Okay, so for a while I really had to reassess my values. I had to take a step back and like, I think the guiding questions that I used for myself were, you know, is this something that I care about? Is this something that people are telling me I should care about? And so most of the time when I ask myself those questions, I can assess whether or not something is important to me. So, you know, it came down to those two questions and a couple things, and it was, you know, usually the case that like it's only because people are telling me that I should care about this certain thing, and I just really don't, you know. And it's not that I don't like care about you or, you know, whatever, but like values, like societal values is more of the overarching question. So I think once I got a feel for like, hey, I really like the way he does this, even though other people might not, then other things just like fall away. The outside opinions just fall away. It's just, this is our marriage. This is between me and you. Even for a while there, like when William was born, my mom wanted me to move in with her for a little bit and like, so she could help me, which is fine. I'm not, you know, opposed to accepting help, but in my head I had to, you know, really think, is this something that I want to do, or is this something that, you know, people are telling me that I should do? And I had to make a choice at that point, and my choice was to just stay home and to let you be the father, and, you know, kind of like give you that time. And so I think
I appreciate
that
it.
that was one of those moments where I was just like, I have to decide for myself. I can't let, because people are telling me, hey, you know, we need to do this right now. You know, like this isn't for me. So I'm going to step back away from this. So, yeah.
So for you, what has been the toughest moment in our marriage?
Toughest moment. Ooh, I know. I'm like, I know. Yeah, so when you were working at Microsoft and you drove... Was that Microsoft? No, PennyMac.
That was PennyMac.
PennyMac.
Yeah, that was
when you worked at PennyMac, you drove to Moorpark, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. You worked however long your shift was, and that was tough. That was... And especially because I had just had William. I was swimming in the depths of motherhood, and I felt like I was all alone. So that was...
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I left. Yeah, I think that was like the times we were fighting the most, because it was like, you're not here. And
You're not. Like, you weren't.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, and I told you 1,000 times, like, oh, well, I drive that far so that you don't have to, you know, because your job's 15 minutes away. Mine's 2 hours.
Yeah.
There and back, you know. For me, it was definitely like around the time when we had that miscarriage, because I was so excited. Like, you know, I was 26 around, because it was like a year, because we had Willie when I was 27, but my dad died when he was 27, so I've always had this little cloud over my head of like, you know, like death. It's a specter that's just there. And I don't know, I had this like fear that like, you know, I wanted to at least have a kid before, I reached my dad's age, and then I was so ready. Like, I've been like thinking about having a kid for a long time. I've been preparing mentally, and I was just wanted to like make sure I had like some good wisdom to pass down.
Yeah.
And then when you were pregnant, I got really excited, and it's just kind of like everything was happening. For me. And then like, it didn't happen.
When things don't work out, it's just kind of like it makes your whole world come crashing down, and you're just kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah, and then like I'd have moments where like because I would carpool, save some gas. And they dropped me off on my car, and I just sit in my car for like 20 minutes, just kind of like, I don't know, just like allowing myself to feel sad. You know? And I think that was like a really tough time. But I'm glad I did, because I feel like, a lot of times people try to be like stoic and like, it's okay, just get over it. But it's like, no, like I like to allow myself time to like feel. And it's not like I'm hiding it, and I don't want my wife to see me cry because I'm a man. No, I just feel like I felt comfortable in my car, and I felt like it was like a safe spot for me. And I, try to have like a little conversation with God.
You also don't want to like, I understand your like, your reasoning there, but at the same time, you also don't want to bring that home either. True. To like, to someone who's already going through a lot.
Exactly, because like as much as like I was going through it, I know that, you're the one that had the baby, so I knew whatever I was going through wasn't compared to what you were going through, so, I didn't want to, like, pile my junk on top of yours, like, I wanted to show up and be ready to help you, get through it, because I knew, like, fine, maybe it's because I was, like, able to commit, like you said with the corona thing, just, I accepted it, and, like, I just kind of moved forward. Like, I knew that I'd be okay, but, like, I needed to make sure that, like, we were okay, I don't know, it's just the whole team thing. I think, like, it was sad and it hurt, but, like, I think it did ultimately bring us a little bit closer, and I do appreciate, like, that aspect of it.
Definitely.
So, next question. What advice would you give someone who's thinking about getting married?
Getting married. Make sure that you have thought it through, I guess. Put all of the, what do you call it? Like, I don't know, extra, I'm just going to curse it out here, but extra shit aside. Put everything aside. Put money aside. Put your finances aside. Put your, maybe you're dealing with mental health issues or whatever the case may be. Put all of that aside. Like, do you really want to be with that person? And if you can't answer that question, then you really need to reassess why you're thinking about getting married. So I think just being sure of it, I think that's a really key thing that people forget, or, they're just so swept up in love and attraction or lust or whatever their initial thing is. Those are big feelings, you don't want to make, what is that quote? I'm gonna butcher it so bad, but it's like, don't make permanent decisions on temporary emotions. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
So that to me is like one of the big things. Put everything else aside and like really, ask yourself. And then, I don't know, take time. I really like that we had those periods in our marriage of like, I want to say growth. It's like relationship growth, but like, you start off dating or whatever, and you have that for a certain amount of time. You have your, like in a committed, serious relationship phase, and then you also have your like, your engaged phase, and then, but I feel like certain people like to speed those steps and hey, we dated for a week, so now we're married. Like that's really not the best way to go. I mean, for some people it works. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen certain relationships work out, but I just think that if you have the rest of your life, like drag it out some. You know what I mean? You don't have to get married tomorrow for this thing to work. I
mean, I like what we did. Like we got we dated for a while, then we got engaged and spent like a year and a few months engaged, and like it felt nice being like affianced. Like oh, I'm promised. Like I don't know, it feels nice
to go through the motions, I guess.
And then, I don't know, like, in that time, you learn how to, like, work as a team because you're, even the whole planning the wedding stage, you learn a lot about each other just by...
Oh, that's another thing. To make sure that you're, like, I don't know.
What did you say? Because I think you were saying that, like, you regretted, like, having such a big wedding. And what did you say, like, how to limit people?
Oh, some of the questions for, like, how to limit people for your wedding. Because I feel like I would have had... I would have made some changes to my guest list, because in the end, it really matters, like, the people who are there. And I wish I would have spent more money on a smaller group rather than having a big wedding with tons of people and, like, you don't really get to spend too much time with it. I know it was a great wedding, but you don't really get to spend that, like, one-on-one time. So, what was I going to say? The questions. So the questions are, it's simple stuff like, if
they invited you to dinner.
Yeah, if they invited you to dinner this weekend, would you want to go? And that was a big one for me. I was like, yeah, that would have cut like half my guest list. Not that I hate everybody, but it's just, who do you want to spend that time with? Who do you want to give your valuable time to? And then another one was like, do you know their last name without looking it up on Facebook? I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because there are certain people that, like, you invite and you're just kind of like, hey, I know you from that one time. Thanks for being here,
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, sometimes you feel a responsibility to, like, to people.
Especially to, like, family members, And I come from, my dad's side especially is a big family. So you do feel like... an
obligation?
Not an obligation, but in a sense, like it's almost like a requirement basically that you want everybody to be happy, and that includes your parents, that includes your siblings or whoever, and so you kind of stretch it. Well, I did at least.
I was pretty close.
I feel like I stretched it.
And they're not going, oh, sure, but you want to bring friends? No, they can't come.
So
I'll give you a +1. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah. What was the question again?
It was, what advice would you give someone who's thinking about getting married?
Well, yeah, I think also just making sure that you're grown. You're not out here trying to play games. You're not trying to just fool around and act grown. That you really are grown. That you're making
grown-up decisions.
Big decisions, big moves.
All right, great. All right, so this one, we're getting to the last few here, but do you have a favorite quote or a book that you live your life by?
A favorite quote? One of my favorite quotes is the whole, like, when was the last time you tried something for the first time? And I like that. It keeps me going. It keeps me on my toes a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm the most adventurous person, because there are plenty of people way more adventurous than me. But that question will pop into my mind the minute that I am experiencing something new, or I'm about to try something new, or I might decline something new. And it's just like, well, okay, maybe this time I will. Maybe this time I won't, but I find myself thinking about that a lot. So when was the last time you tried something for the first time?
Yeah, I think for me right now, at least in the last couple of years, I mean, because, like, disregarding, like, movie quotes and all that, one that kind of, like, hit a chord a while back, and it's just kind of been, like, floating in the back of my head is the Latin term memento mori. Just, like, remember you'll die. And, like, I know it sounds morbid, but, like, for me, it's, like, it's not. Like, it's it's almost like a seize the day, but it's more, for me, at the very least, it's, like, don't stress about it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it seems like it's the end of the world right now, but
it's really not.
Yeah, but it's also bad, because it's like, you think this is bad, wait till you die. But like I said, it sounds morbid, but it's just like a reminder, like, this isn't, like, the big thing that you think it is.
This too shall pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, pass.
But I don't know, like, I think I heard it once, and then someone, like, told me what it meant, and yeah, like, memento mori is just
interesting.
I think it's just really, like, remember death. But
I just remembered something. I'm gonna find it really quick. But this goes back to the marriage advice. I'm going back a question.
All right.
But hold up. I'm sorry, you can ask another question in the meantime.
All right, while you're bringing it up, these are
Okay.
just like general questions. Who are some of the people that you admire?
Ooh. Okay, let me start.
Go for it.
You, for one.
Oh, stop it.
No, really. Like, you're a very admirable person. I think one of your most admirable qualities is your respect for your word. Like, your word is your bond. And so that to me is like, man, I find myself trying to emulate that as a parent to William. You know, I'll see that you'll say something to him and then you'll do it. And then I'm like, man, I really got to get on that. I'm not doing the things that I'm saying I'm doing. So then, like, I'll catch myself. And, you know, if he asks me for something and I say, yeah, we'll do it. But then I don't immediately go do it. I'm like, man, I got to get up now. I'm going to look bad. I'm not half the parent V is. So, I mean, like, things like that that's a very admirable quality about you. But aside from you, because you're great.
Thank you. I didn't pay her to say that.
I would say, are you trying to get me to cry?
No.
I can't do it. I'm gonna cry.
Just say it. Well, like bullet points.
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
Hold up.
Well, because you're not gonna like the next question. And
Damn it. No, my sister, for sure. My older sister. She's a very big influence on who I am today. So I'll just leave it at that.
All right, because the next question is, are there any behaviors or characteristics of theirs that you feel you try to incorporate into your own life?
Damn it.
Sorry.
I hate you.
I mean, you already said
I was
stuff.
avoiding this
I
interview,
know.
and how dare you? How dare you?
I technically left this for last because like I have a few more questions, but they're just like general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of get your side of things. Like, so, you know, there's people that you admire, and like there's things about them that you admire, but do you find yourself trying to like emulate them? You know?
Yeah. Well, for you, that was the answer in itself.
Yeah. But tell me about your sister. I mean, like, enough about me. You know?
No. I mean, for sure, just the way that she loves everyone around her.
Mm-hmm.
My parents too. They're a big influence on my life, obviously. I love the way that they take care of everyone around them. Like, there is no question about like, oh, I'm going to go to Ma and Bern's house and I'm not going to have anywhere to stay. Like, that isn't, or I'm not going to have anything to eat. Oh my God. Like, when you go to my mom's house for the first time, or whenever you're just like stopping by, she will make you a whole meal. Damn it. Hold up.
You know what's funny about that? About what you're saying? In a way, I kind of try to emulate that too. Like, whenever people come over here, I'm like, oh, let me cook something. Let me like make them feel at home. And I didn't like really get that like from anyone that I like.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, you know, for those that know, like, there was a man that I met in New York named Rene. A lot of what I do is like an emulation of him, because he'd have, you know, he'd have his house full of a bunch of young kids from like his church that I went to, and like all of us came from broken families. You know, I knew people whose parents would punch them in the face. You know, like, because they got out of line. You know, I'd see them in their face where it was all black and blue, and I always felt like whenever I needed someone, Rene was there for me. And it could be something small. Maybe we didn't talk about my problems, but it was, you know, like just a little escape. Like, I went to his house. He had a little pool. We just hang out, and I didn't have to think about my life. You know, I'd just go there and like unwind. And unfortunately, he passed away, and that hit me pretty hard. But like, because of who he was, you know, I try to be like that. You know, I meet people, I try to give them like little advice. Maybe I'm not trying to like preach or whatever, but you know, I do want to give people like a safe a safe place.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's another like quality too of like just strength in general. Like that, and that goes for all three of the people that I mentioned, my sister and my mom and my dad, that like they have this strength in them that like is just a very admirable quality. It's very it's nice to see. And I know that, you know, life's been tough. Life hasn't been the greatest to them, but you know, they come out with a smiling face and kindness and love in their hearts. So that's what I try to emulate.
I like your answer. That was a good answer. All right, so I want to call these hardball questions. They're just random, all of life's mysteries.
Oh, great. Okay.
Where do we come from?
Where do we come from? Vaginas. That's the real. That's the real answer.
That's the real answer. Absolutely. Your mama.
Your mama.
She came from her mama. You won't believe her mama came from. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment. That's my answer.
I love that answer. I've never heard that answer to that question, and it's the most factual question that I've heard.
I speak truth. I speak truth.
I appreciate it. Ain't nobody calling you a liar. All right. Do we have free will, or is everything predestined?
Damn it. Can I say it's both?
You can. You want to hear my answer to this?
Okay, dale.
So the way that I see it is like I feel like everyone has a path that they can follow, and if they stay on the path, they'll eventually, I don't know, reach some like goal that maybe like, I don't know, if there is like an architect to like the universe, you know, maybe he has like a goal that everyone can reach, but just because something like that path exists doesn't mean you're gonna take that path.
Yeah, but like, what about all the people who like, I don't know, some crazy accident happens and they lose their legs and like that's their life
brother,
now.
He died at 9. You know, I'm pretty sure that wasn't his path, but like for me, like that's the only way I can kind of like justify certain things. 'Cause there's been moments where I'm trying hard to like do good and like get ahead, and then little curveballs will get thrown. And like you know, we've talked about things, you know, before we were like married or whatever. Little moments of like maybe it's a temptation, or maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe I was doing something that I shouldn't have been doing with my money or something. And there's been like little moments where, you know, I could go all in and like, you know, break trust and do whatever, and then I stopped and I was like what am I doing? Like, I shouldn't do this. And then I'll like just leave, you know, like I won't do the thing that I planned on doing. And then I hear later on that like all hell broke loose, or like, you know, like even with temptation, that person, you know, oh, she's pregnant now. And I'm like, damn, that could have been my kid, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it was just like the right time, you know, or it was the wrong place at the right time almost, you know, like I could have like, you know, done it, but I didn't, you know, and so that's why I feel like there's like little stumbling blocks that we can all like trip over. And I don't know, that's why I feel like I don't know, like we're on a journey and there's a lot of pitfalls, but like if you're really looking, you can kind of avoid them. So that's why I say I feel like there is kind of like a path, but it's kind of like up to you to stay on the path.
I don't know. I see, and on that point, I don't agree. Like if you're looking hard enough, like I don't know, some people just aren't born with the vision for that.
Hey, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, you know?
No.
All right, let's go to the next one. Do aliens exist? And not the illegal ones.
Hell yes, they exist. I have yet to encounter one, but I don't. Please don't come bother me. Leave me alone. I'm just fine hearing stories.
You're like, I don't gotta go to space. I'm chilling, you know? Got a mortgage.
See, that's another one of those things that like, it's almost like, how can you not believe that, you know, how can you believe that we are the only species?
Shoot, we might not even be the only intelligent species on this planet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's just like, I don't know. You know what got me the other day?
What?
I saw a video. It was like some girl just basically explaining away that like the whole idea, or that the Earth, under the crust is the mantle, quote unquote.
Oh, that's just a theory?
That's just a theory. They just think that that's what's out there because no one really knows for sure, and that's mind blowing. That gets me. That haunts me at night. I'm like, man.
You know what haunted me? I don't know. It might be like some BS, but it's online, so everything's true. You read online, of course. But I heard that I don't know if it's like when there was some sort of explosion, or maybe like when the rocket landed on the moon. They apparently the sound reverberated throughout the whole moon, like if it was hollow. And it was like a weird thing because usually like a rocket booster or whatever will just land. It'll be like a loud thud and it's just kind of fine because it's Earth. Yeah. But on the moon supposedly they could feel the vibrations or hear it or something like that. So there's evidence that the moon might be hollow or something, or maybe it's really porous or I don't know. But
it's actually cheese with holes.
It's Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese.
Swiss made it to. They made the moon. They didn't just make it to the moon. They made that thing.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So let's see.
That was a good one.
Next one. Ooh. Is there life after death?
That's the age-old question that I don't know. I mean,
let's see what happens.
Hey, well, I don't want to find out too soon.
No, yeah, not too soon.
I don't know. I mean, I wish I could have someone tell me their firsthand experience, and then maybe I might be inclined to believe. But that's the one I'm kind of nah, it looks like you just die.
Well, that's why I'm
obsessed you just
with
dead.
Ghost stories, because I've never seen a ghost.
Yeah.
But I want to know what have you seen? I don't subscribe to it. I'm like, oh my god, this stuff's real. It could be totally fake, but I want to just give me your eyewitness. But if you tell me a friend of a friend told me that his neighbor's dog knew a guy who I'm like, okay, dude, it's enough, Yeah. All right, and the last one. What is the meaning of life?
What is the meaning of life? To be a good person.
Yeah.
To live your life, be a good person. Stop stressing, because stress does not help you live your life. Live your best life. That's the meaning.
I read somewhere, and I've adopted it as my belief. But for me, the meaning of life is to give your life meaning, and that's it.
Ooh.
It's no one chooses to be here.
Just drop your mic right now.
Yeah, no, but I can't take credit for that. I read it somewhere. I don't even know where I read it. But yeah, it's the meaning of life is to give your life meaning. It's sad to say, but I don't believe that every life has inherent meaning. Oh, you were meant to blah blah blah. No, I feel we find passions and we pursue them and then we perfect them, and then we just do them.
That's a bold statement.
I mean, it is what it is. but then I also believe that whatever makes you angry, maybe it's your calling to fix it. Oh, I hate that they're no one's taking care of homeless people. Well, maybe you're the one that's supposed to do it. Yeah. Or I feel even education. Oh, I feel they're not teaching these kids right. Yeah. Maybe you should be a teacher. Maybe you should step up to the plate.
Very true.
But then that still goes
Tell them, because people don't understand.
100%. Well, that's why
parents trying to come at teachers
I get mad at politicians. I'm like, well, then let me get out there. I might not know how to speak right, or you know, I might not be politically correct, but I can do a hell of a better job than you know, this person or that person. So that's my belief too. If something upsets you, it's your job to fix it. I even bring up Jesus. I'm like, Jesus walks into a church, sees money changers and people selling stuff in the church, so he pulled out a whip and started whipping everybody's butt.
I think those are my favorite people, though. That you find somebody in the wild, basically, that they're so they're so enraged or emboldened, I guess, by something that they take action. I think those are my favorite people, because I was thinking of we have trainings every so often, and you can sign up for them. So I signed up for a training. It was about racial injustice in the schools, and the presenter, I've never met someone, it was over Zoom though, but I've never met someone so just passionate. Yeah. She was very like, she might not have had the right terminology. She might not have had, you know, the best presentation that day, but her words and her actions, like, they just spoke volumes that, like, you know, she was here for real change, and she's ready for anybody else who's ready, you know? And so I think she wanted to, like, start her own little, like, group, you know, and just kind of, like, keep pushing, you know, because there are a lot of inequities and injustices in the education system that, like, can be fixed. And it's going to be small changes at first, but eventually, you know, you could change the whole system. So I think it was very nice to see that person in that place where she was training other people about that topic. And it was just like, I'm proud of you because you believed in this so hard and you fought to be here, you know? Like, you take the stage, girl. You take it.
Alrighty, and that's all I have for you today, Vince.
All right. I only shed a couple tears, so I'm proud of myself.
All right, well, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Thanks.
I love you. And
Love you too.
all right, guys, so we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, yeah. Bye.
Bye.